Kids are blessed. They got us all the time.
They got us a lot. But as we mentioned earlier, we decided to make time for each other, just as you'd make time for a business, ministry, whatever else. You can't neglect the very thing, the engine room of success for your life is, it would be a terrible idea to do that.
Yeah, that's right. So in terms of our kids, yeah, like Samuel said, we've always had a unique lifestyle in terms of time freedom, having the ability to be present with our children all the time. So our kids, you know, like, well, we take them to school every morning. When they arrive home or we pick them up, we're here.
Yeah.
We definitely aren't away most of the day, not seeing our kids. So it's a lot different. So we get to spend a lot of time together. And I think the part of like the relationship with us and that closeness and that unity and that strong relationship and the love they see between us, that gives children a lot of security. It gives children a sense of stability. So I think for our children, that is enough for them to know and to feel that sense of there's a solid stability in mum and dad, that it just, even just for them, it just sets an atmosphere in your home for them to feel secure and safe. That's how I believe.
Yeah, this is off topic, but it's sad when you hear stories of kids that go home and they'd rather be at school or they'd rather go kick it with their friends because home isn't a home at all. And so I think that's the most important thing, is making your house or where your family is a home, a loving home. The other thing I've got for the quality time with children is finding out what they enjoy and investing in that and supporting them and being there present with them. So for instance, my two younger girls, they enjoy playing basketball. Once I kick them off their little devices, but they love playing basketball competitively, and my son likes making beats and those sort of things. With Heaven, still got to crack a few things. What do you like, girl?
She likes mum.
She likes mum. But you know what I mean? So it's finding those things they enjoy and making the effort to get into their world and get in amongst those activities as well.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing is for children, you know, like we've all been, you know, had parents who, you know, you're raised with, and I think it's so important that you take some time to do what they love. Yeah. Not sort of trying to rope them into what we want them to do.
Well, I kind of roped them into basketball, but they caught the flame though. They caught it. If they didn't, we would have been catching butterflies or I don't know what else little girls do. But
yeah, well, when you start to see the things that they love and they're passionate about, and like just an example is our youngest enjoys a bit like gymnastics. So she said, "Can we go down to the oval, the field?" And I was like, "What for?" She said, "I want to go practice my gymnastics." So, you know, it was not even like a half an hour or so of my time, and we jumped on our bikes, rode down to the local field, and she got to do her flips and enjoyed herself. And, you know, so I think quality time doesn't always have to be like a big elaborate plan and a big elaborate, like,
you don't have to spend a lot of money.
Let's take the kids down to the beach for the whole entire Saturday. You know, like it's going to be just those little things that we can capture what they love and just being involved with them and being a part of it.
And it's got with each of your children, so it's probably that is making that effort. And sometimes you do have to push into their world, and but you know, it's a natural thing that flows as well.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, we've got quite a few different topics here. We've got things to do with finance, things to do with families. So let's flow into, how do you manage your commitments? So we've talked about the kids. You know, you need that quality time together. We obviously pastors, we have ministry and different leaders and things happening around our life. My wife runs her business as well. I love to play a lot of basketball. How do we manage all these things?
You don't play a lot. You're like, what, twice a week?
Yeah.
You're pretty good.
It's pretty, hey, I could play 3 or 4 times if the body would let me, you know. But anyway, so how do we manage? Because why I mentioned those things is you've got to have fun too. Like we talked about that, like finding what we enjoy. So honey, you have a chat about that?
Yeah, I think, you know, because that's a question a lot of people ask sometimes, is how do you manage all of the roles that you're involved in? I think with anything, when you take on new roles or new things, it is going to be, you're going to have to stretch your capacity to do so. So for example, like a lot of us all know the gyms have all opened up, so we're back into our routine of getting up and, going to your 6 o'clock class or whatever time you go to the gym or whatever your commitment is. And I think actually commitment's a really good word. I think it's making a decision right from the beginning, whatever you're going to step into. So obviously our church and ministry life, yes, that's been a huge part of our life, but it was a decision we made. It was a commitment that we made that this is what we were in here for the long haul. So I think with anything, like anything you take on and other new roles, whether it's jobs or business or stepping, wanting to commit to the gym and your health and fitness, whatever it is, it's first of all making a commitment, and then you have to stretch your capacity. So if it means, in order for you to be successful in it, that you're going to have to get up at 5 in the morning instead of 7 in the morning, then it means you're going to have to stretch your capacity. So I think often people feel like when they take on other roles, something's going to have to give. Yeah. And I think there are sort of seasons, depending on what you're doing, that things might be slightly out of balance. And I think no one likes that word, out of balance. They're like, no, everything needs to be balanced. Sometimes
reality is,
we were talking with some people about, like how our children are very independent now, and we observe young families who've still got toddlers and babies, and we're like, oh man.
Oh hell no. But hey,
we remember those days.
But only because we've been there. It's good too though, it's fun, and you do miss the cute little faces. But
that's a season, eh? That's
a season.
Just a season that you're a little bit out of
balance. Yeah. And like obviously there's things to do with church, like we might be pushing a man up conference thing, or we're moving things for votes for political things, or we're outreaching a lot more. There's different kind of things that take place. One thing though I've got here is, before you manage your commitments, you want to look at what your commitments are and decide longevity and the value of each of them. So placing, like if you've got 5 things, you put them on the table, you kind of have to go 1, 2 and put them in order of priority at the forefront first. So obviously for us it's always kingdom life, building the church, making sure everything is centered around Christ, not raising funds or business or finance, which is like number 3 or 4, and putting it at the front and spending so much time consumed on that already. You have to shuffle the management of those things. And then there might be some things that you might need to put them aside for a season or for good, and start to replace them or get more focused on the things that matter.
Yeah, that's good. I think that's like with everyone, like there's going to be multiple things we manage in our life, whether it's your work, your business, your family life, for us, church ministry, other commitments that you make. And it definitely comes down to priority and value, but also what value it's adding back to you. So people might be like, no, I'm not going to give up my commitment of watching my 1-hour episode of Netflix every night. Well, okay, cool. But what's going to have to suffer from that 1-hour Netflix program that you refuse to remove? And how much value is that adding to your future or your life? So prioritizing. And then also I think it's learning to say no, which a lot of us struggle with sometimes, as when people come to you with, hey, I'm working on this project, or we're doing this, or how about this, and Pastor, this will be a great idea for the church. Like the first thing, and one thing I've always been grateful for my husband. See, I'm like let's do it, everything, whatever, let's go hard. He's always like, okay, hold on, what is it first? What's the value of it going to be? Is it going to contribute? Or is it going to take away resources? What is it? So it's really evaluating what things are, and it's not saying no for forever, but it's just saying not right now. This is not a priority.
Not right now or never.
Yeah, or possibly never, but it's not a priority. So learning to manage your time well and making sure that whatever you decide or say yes to is adding and contributing to the advancement of whatever area of your life you're working on. And if it's not, then you have to have those hard conversations sometimes with people and say, not a priority for me right now, but I'll be back or whatever. So I think that's a huge thing.
I think that ties in with that saying of busyness is not always productive. So just because you're busy and you're running around and you're like, oh, I had a great,
busy
day, and you could have been like pulling out weeds, which is good, or you could have been like, You know, I had to
Yeah,
go.
I don't waste my time doing that kind of stuff, honey.
No, I'm just saying, like, you could have been going and picking things up, and you were busy, but really it wasn't that productive. So you could have scheduled it better, or you could have did it on another day. Or so that's what I'm trying to say, is that just because you're sweating and you're running around, it doesn't mean that you are creating this great
productivity,
this great outcome at the end. So
good.
Very important. What ties into that though is finances, in terms of taking care of the family, the financial affairs. Sorry, are you both involved in that process, or does one person predominantly take care of this? Yes and no.
I think we naturally, our gifts, and I've always been the financial controller now. Samuel and I are always in unity with the decisions we make. Any financial decisions we make together, or big financial decisions we make together. But yes, he's gotten so much better in the last couple of years, I must say, but am I predominantly the administration side? Yes.
Yeah.
Do I jump on internet banking more efficiently? Yes. Do I pay the bills more efficiently?
Does she have to walk into the bank with me? Yes. Do I know what to do? No. But when it comes to the big things about we're going to invest in a property, or we're going to put this amount of money toward this investment, or we're going to spend on this furniture item or whatever, usually she just orders it and I have no idea. But no, in all seriousness, we do together. You know, what a tragedy, like 3 or 4 years down the track, and you're, oh, we're in debt because you as the man or you as the wife didn't, you know, look into things, or you weren't there to, I suppose, help with the discipline of it. So both of you overall, but naturally, and it's not always the lady. I know some of my bros around me are very sharp with, you know, accounting and different things, but there is usually one that's a bit more clued up on the day-to-day sort of, you know, finances, paying bills, this, looking at insurances. Like, I'm not going to sit on the phone for an hour and try and negotiate and change the insurance or the mortgage rate, but it's worth it, because months, you know, she goes, oh, you know how much I saved you us this month? I'm like, oh wow, like I would have just been like, oh, this is a pain. Yeah. And so I think you've got to find who's sharp with that.
But we work to get, you know, like even on a financial level too, we do work with professionals, and that's probably one point I'd like to sort of share with you guys is, don't be shy of paying professionals. So in terms of accounting, in terms of like if you've got property coaching or anything to do with your business development, whatever it is, like, don't be afraid to pay professionals. They have studied and they understand the laws and the legal side and all the stuff that we don't want to think about. They've done all that. So don't try and say, oh, now I'll do it myself and save money. You can often find yourself paying more money because you've done it wrong. So just one point there too, and that's good because that gives us accountability together when we, you know, obviously we have our accountant and a few different other people that we work with. So that's good too, as you sort of advance in the decisions that you're making with finances.
Yeah, and that's to do with capacity, eh? Like, there's a question here about capacity. How do you increase your capacity? Did we talk about that?
Oh, we talked a little bit about obviously managing all your roles where you do have to. Okay. And like I said, for me, it's practical. Increasing your capacity is, I'm sorry, you can't sleep until 7 anymore. Get up at 5. There you go. You got 2 extra hours.
I think as time goes by, you get better at things. So you should get, if you've been doing something for 4 or 5 years, it should be second nature to you. So now what used to take you a lot longer and used to be a lot stressful, you should be able to just fly through it. And that's how naturally your capacity is stretched. But then, as my wife has mentioned, the disciplines are the things that get your capacity, I suppose, up to a new level. So
but it's all, cool. I think it's all a decision, eh? In the end, you have to make a decision to commit to something. And you'll do whatever it takes, really, in the end. Or you'll find an excuse to quit. That's just real honest. That, you know, people go, oh, we just didn't have enough time, or it was just, you know, too much going on. The reality is like, no, did you make that decision it was a little bit too hard? And remember, capacity stretching and growing is kind of a painful process. Discipline's a painful process. So it's not
easy thing, and I just but the question, I don't think I wrote it down. What's the importance of mentors or people above you to challenge you? That ties in with your capacity growth, because if you're accountable to someone, so if you're you've said, hey, look, husband, wife, or friend, or business partner, the budget's this, and we're only going to spend this amount. Well, now you're accountable. But if you kind of just set in your mind, I'm not going to buy shoes and clothes every second week now, you'll probably, because you're not accountable to anyone, you could just slip back into falter. So it's important that you have an accountability partner or a mentor, for that matter, that can challenge you. And when you're accountable to that and they are challenging you, it's kind of like, when you get when you go into the gym, if you've got a trainer, it's going to be a lot more, or a training partner, it's going to be a lot more intense. If they're pushing and lifting that, you are going to. If your buddy's going for a run or training, you are kind of encouraged to do so as well. So who you hang out with is important. Mentors around you. Look, sometimes you have to change your people group. If it's the same talk, same outcome, same kind of look to your life, then you might want to consider changing. You don't have to leave that space, but start to mingle and be around others who have fruit in a certain area that you want to expand in.
Exactly.
As well.
Yeah, mentors and coaches and that are hugely important. But I think just a mindset thing is, don't think, okay, I need to find my mentor for life. The reality is they're going to be people in all different areas of your life that you want to get better at. Like, let's say, like Samuel said, it's like your health and fitness. Let's say it's your spiritual walk. Let's say it's in your business world. You already know people around you who have fruit in their life, who have produced fruit in their life, so they're successful in these areas. Attach yourself to them. Yeah. Probably don't go, can you be my mentor? Yeah. Because they'll probably go.
The other thing is, don't expect them to ring you every week. Yeah. You can actually be mentored from a distance. I mean, you look at, so for us, obviously, for Bishop, who is he's my mentor, he's my example. I don't have to ring him every day and say, oh, what do you think about this? I study and learn the traits, the movements, the approach, the response to crisis, the response to different things, and I learn from that. And so a lot of our learning is from modeling, imitating, and watching. And as my wife said, don't make it strange. You can say, oh, hey, look, can we have a coffee and talk, but
I think it's just attaching yourself to people. Yeah. Connect to them. Like even when I think of group fitness, I enjoy group fitness, and I haven't said to all the people that go to the gym with me that are my friends, then we go to the same class, okay guys, let's keep each other accountable. The reality is it's an unspoken thing. Yeah. When we're not there, or when one of them don't show, we're like, where were you? It's just a natural accountability. So find those people in that area that you need growth and development, and surround yourself with them. Be around them, and often it's challenging to be around people that are maybe a bit advanced in that area with you, because it is challenging. They are going to confront things if they see, hey, I noticed you haven't been turning up to the gym for the last couple of weeks. What's going on? And you're like, oh. So it is challenging, but that's where the growth's going to come.
Cool. Let's move on to this one to do with family.
Okay.
It's good because it moves into that. Okay. Is there a man role and a woman's role? So once you come together and you get married, and getting married is vital too, because there's something powerful about a spiritual covenant that takes place between a man and a woman, and that there is the first sealing of God's idea, and then the flow of authority that happens in that marriage. And personally, I do believe there is roles as such, but you're always working together. So there's some things that when it comes to, say it might be my son, there's certain things I need to talk to him about, or there's certain things that need to be confronted, or there's a spiritual thing that needs to be taken care of. I would think the man would front that, and he would go to war against some of that stuff and make the stand and lead his family, and kind of like as Joshua said, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. He spoke on behalf of his family. Now that doesn't diminish the woman's role or the family being a unified group together, and the wife's giftings to speak into her son's life and the kid's life and all that. But it does create this this care and this nurturing thing that the man, to be honest, has been created for.
I believe like men and women, we've been given unique gifts. You know, we're all different, even from female to female, woman to woman, but still, like, we've got natural gifts that we have within us, like the man. And for me, my husband leading the home, my husband being the key authority in my home, for me, that gives me confidence and security as well within a home. And it also gives our children that sense of there's authority in the home. So yeah, I do believe we do have different roles, but we work side by side. We, you know, in no way or form does he ever overpower my authority or I overpower his authority. If there's a decision made, you know, I will support that, and usually any big decision we'll discuss. So in the end, it's really working together in unity. We're a team. We're not here to work against each other. We're here to work together as a team. So anything I'm good at, I'll bring to the table. Anything he's good at, he brings to the table. And that role as the head of the home and the authority of the home, like I'm a strong personality. I'm a naturally strong personality, but I choose to submit under his leadership because for me, that's the right order. Not for me, every decision he makes go, no, that's not what we're going to do. Don't listen to dad. We're going to do this. Like, can you imagine how much confusion and insecurity I would create in my son and my daughters if they were like, oh, does dad not know what he's doing? You know what I mean? Like, how would their view be of a man, or how would my son's view be of himself? Is he always going to be dominated by a woman? You know, so I think of all those things, but that's something that we've always built together.
Even biblically, like it's the man is the head of the home. Like it's in there. Christ is the head of the church. Love your wife as Christ loves the church. Like it is the order and the natural flow of it. And the thing with it is it actually releases both to function how God has called them to be. There's nothing worse than a feminized man who's not rising up to what he's been called to stand and do. And there's nothing worse than a woman, or not nothing, but who has to try and be the man of the house too. Now, this is no disrespect to single mothers who've been forced in that position, or others that are being separated or whatever. But it isn't the natural way that it's meant to be, but through the grace of God, you can still go through and overcome, and Christ becomes that strength for you. But in the natural sense of where there is a man and there is a woman, that function has to be healthy. And it's sad when you see the woman having to do stuff because the man is too lazy or he's not engaged with it, and vice versa. A man that has, I suppose, just disarmed himself, or vice versa.
I think to help answer that question too, a good thing is coming back to the marriage and the relationship is sliding away, is that when in our marriage and in our relationship, I believe a key to success has been our true honor and respect for each other. So the way that if I honor and, you think about yourself, somebody that you really respect, you won't speak horribly to. You won't just be short with your words. You know, you've got high regard for them. You have a lot of respect for them. So not that your relationship's always going to be perfect, but when you honor and respect your husband and your wife, that's where a lot of things change. And your talk, I just want to say, watch your mouth. Your talk and your words have so much power, and they have power to bring life, and they have power to bring death, in a sense that you can be breathing and speaking life constantly into each other, into your home, into your family, or you could be constantly breaking it down, pulling it down and with your words. So for us, one thing that I think has been a key to our success and unity and honor and respect for each other has been that, and it was an unspoken thing. We never we were married quite young. We were only 18 and 19, obviously really loved each other, had a lot of respect for each other, wanted to treat each other well.
That's right.
Early in our marriage, I guess any opportunity would be that you could say harsh things to each other, But for some reason, it was an unspoken thing. We just didn't.
Yeah.
We just didn't take that road. We just didn't go down that path. I never lashed out with my words and said horrible things like,
not to say we didn't have disagreements and we didn't talk
of
and
course.
get
Of
frustrated
course we disagreed.
and storm off and all that. But how we
for some reason,
we fought and talked was definitely not personal attacks to try and harm and hurt. Because when the two become one, like you are shooting your own feet when you're not speaking nicely to your wife, to your husband for that matter. And so that is, you're right, that is something we just decided to not go to. And look, please don't feel guilty or like, we're just giving you our experience of our journey, that has been a large part of, you know, speak well of each other publicly and privately. So, you know, you don't want to be like pretending and then at home you're like saying stuff to him or her and, you know, even swearing at each other or whatever. You got to stop that.
Yeah, and I think, that's been a key. Like, I guess because in the early stages we didn't take that road, which I guess was a discipline. Praise the Lord for that. Yeah. We never went down there. So coming up to nearly 20 years of marriage, we've never gone down that path, and it's not like we're going to choose to go down that path.
This ties in with how do you not fight with your spouse or your partner?
Oh, well, it doesn't mean that we never fought or we never had a disagreement. Like, and when I say fought, like, have I ever hit Samuel? No, I honestly haven't. And I think sometimes people are like, oh, whatever, surely you got mad and slapped him and punched him or whatever. And I'm like, no, because we never really, like I said, because we learnt how to harness our words and how to have discipline over that, that's called self-control.
Yeah.
So then if we can manage the mouth, then it means that even our actions are not going to come through. I realise too,
as some people have come from different backgrounds that have kind of instilled anger or deep stuff in them. And you do have to backtrack and kind of deal with some of the stuff. There could be rejection or abuse or things that they've seen that kind of they carried into their marriage. So the first thing you got to do is really just talk together and really release all that stuff, but don't take it into your marriage and see that cycle kind of repeated from, you know, past things. So
so do we fight, did it say?
How do you not fight your partner?
I think
just don't fight.
I think you have to, like I said, the biggest thing for me is you're a team. So when I think of a sports team, when I think of, say, the NBA and the basketball team, like, how awesome is it if you see the Bulls and Michael Jordan and all the boys having a scrap?
I'm sure Maddie will remember, but this happened to me.
I'm talking about the NBA. I'm going like top level.
No, I'm just saying that the two of our mates started fighting. We're losing like crazy. And if you're watching, you know who you are. The bros started fighting each other, like, and then other teams looking like.
And how embarrassing is that?
And I was like, mate, I don't know what I said, but I was like, look at us, look at the score, look at them, they're looking at a laugh, you know. So my wife's right. That's the first thing I got was like, you just look silly, you know. It puts you in a position of deficit.
You're in such you're a very weak position if you're on the battlefield. But so I think about a marriage and your relationship as a team. We're a team. So if we're going to be smashing each other, like, how the heck are we supposed to lead our team, our children, our family? How are we supposed to ever advance and go for the win if we are
fighting,
attack each other? So
and the silent battle still kills them, like not talking. Oh, you know, going to sleep. Don't let the sun go down on your anger. Like, so don't just turn your back to them. Like, mate, that's because you're building up a little offence.
Don't touch me.
Small. It starts small and it grows. So you have to deal with it, man. And so the silent treatment's probably just as bad. Don't do it. How do you not do it?
I think
humble yourself.
Yeah. One thing we talked about, I remember, is we said to each other, because obviously we ain't perfect, you know, we've been through 20 years of marriage, and you can't say like, it was just such a fun journey and we've always been in love. Well, we've always been in love, but you know, you have your battles. But I think one thing we said to help us move forward, because we realized that, you know, during some busy seasons of our lives, raising children, feeling like I was pregnant forever, feeling like I was breastfeeding children forever. Well, Sam went and lived his best life playing basketball. Nah. You're right there, mate. Nah. And, you know,
Yeah.
you can start to create a little bit of like, and you know, he might say something or
You
do
never told me
something.
this.
Yes, we did.
Let it out, baby, let it out.
And then he'd be like, and then I'll be like, and then all of a sudden I started to become a little bit, I wouldn't say resentful, but I was like short with everything. So then I didn't realize, but I became a bit insensitive. And then obviously one day we had a big discussion. It wasn't like a big argument. I don't think we've ever like yelled at each other. Like we just talk.
No, we haven't screamed match.
But we basically said and come to the realization that there's so many little things that we hold on to. So the little things like, that I didn't like the way that he said that in front of his friends, it embarrassed me. But you take it on and just like,
True.
And then something else happens and I don't like the way that it made me feel disrespected, whatever. So then we started to say, like, no matter how big or small, whenever anything arises, tell each other. Like, we give each other permission. You tell me if I've said something that you didn't like or I've did something, vice versa. Yeah. So for us, it's keeping those short accounts because then you don't have anything that can be like 3 months ago and you're like, oh, shucks.
Yeah, 3 years ago.
When we did, it's like, oh.
That's how marriages, they start to grow apart though. Like your heart starts to harden and push away from.
True.
And what seems small can actually become a strong wedge. So you're right, keep short accounts with each other. That's basically what that is. Marriage separation. I've got this one here. Keeping the spirit alive between both homes. So obviously, is it to attempt to get back together or?
Is it?
Yeah, I think it's that one.
I'm not sure. Obviously, we personally don't have experience, but I think one thing like Samuel just said is that humility.
Yeah.
I think when you're always trying to win a battle or be right, in any situation. It just causes so much more tension. But when you can actually humble yourself a little bit and look at the bigger picture and what's important. So if I think of, say, in a separation situation, you've got children involved. So you have to start making decisions and doing what's going to be best for the children. Yeah. Not, well, what's best for me and this is what I want out of this and what, and then definitely not, I would not be, like I said, I'm just sharing from what my observation would be, not using the kids against each other as well, which I think is sad. So, I think it is a level of maturity and humility that it takes for people to actually look past themselves.
We have, obviously we haven't had to deal with this personally, but we have dealt with it with other people.
We've helped support people,
and we've seen them come back together and we've seen them separate, and to this day they're not together. So it's not always a rosy picture, but the one thing that we have found is that those who work on themselves, because it's easy to look at and write a list of what they need to do, what they did and did not do, but if you work on yourself just love yourself and then just love them unconditionally, has always been some of the ingredients that has got the couple out of the, I suppose, the turmoil or the separation, the brink of, I suppose, divorce or whatever it might be, and it's brought them back together. But where there's no humility or no desire to get full change, it's pretty tricky. But with God, though, all things are possible. And when you work on yourself and really trust in Him, He'll direct and guide you on that journey. So,
that's a lot of a personal journey that people have to go through. I feel like a lot of people struggle, even within marriage, they struggle with things in a marriage, but often it can be an internal battle that they're fighting, whether it's their own insecurities, their own fears, their own doubts, all that kind of stuff. So it often is a personal journey that people have to go through. I have a question that came through, which was, what conversations do you have with your children about marriage and relationships?
We do have convos, but a modelling of our life, to be honest, is going to be the greatest indelible mark that's going to be, or the impression that's going to be left on them, to be honest. Being affectionate, like I'll cuddle my wife all the time, I cuddle my girls all the time, I won't say that because it's funny, but basically they get the idea of when it comes to that day, which I very much forbid, that they do find a man, they need to look at dad and it's going to be hard to match this man, by the way, but you know, that man needs to love them. They understand that man needs to love them. And our son obviously knows too that the woman needs to treat and respect him and look after him. So there are little things we talk about. And vice versa.
They need to love and look after theirs.
I know. But I'm just saying in terms of that,
Yes,
that goes without saying. They've been trained well in this household to do that. But the advice and talk is there, like those little things I mentioned. But it is the modelling. It's how I talk to my wife.
Yeah.
You know, if there could be one of the best teachers who's a father and he's saying, son, do this and son, do that. The moment he disrespects his wife, everything he's told his son goes out the window.
Yeah.
So it's modelling by your marriage and how you function, and them observing that's going to be the greatest advice you could leave them with.
Well, that's it. Like you said, is they see how we, and you can tell that it gives them security. So they see. I think that our kids would be concerned if they stopped seeing mum and dad hug and be affectionate and stand in the middle of the kitchen and have a kiss. Like, I know that's cheesy, but the kids are used to it now. Like that's just normal.
It's not a long as weird kiss, by the way. You know, it's not that. They only just make that clear. Gee, that would be strange. But you know, you're right.
Yeah, of course, it's affection.
Well,
guys.
your mates, your best friends.
Yeah.
You know, your best friends. So
well, we had that modelled to us. You know, like Samuel's parents, my parents. Like I've seen their love for each other. I've seen their commitment to each other. Samuel as well. Like, you know, they're still best friends. They still do everything together. You know what I mean? So it is hugely a part of what you model. And our kids will do more what we do as opposed to what we tell them. But we do have those conversations with them, don't we? We do talk with them and ask them why they think, like I think we said at dinner one night, and you said, I wonder who else is going to be sitting at this table with us in the future. Do you know what that, and they were like, and he said, do you know what that means? And they said, yeah. Yeah, well, you know, our son's 16 and our daughter's, our youngest two are 10, 12 and Heaven's 14. So
we always talk about the principles of Christ too. Like they got to love Christ, man. Like honestly, if you marry someone that don't love Christ, I've got no qualms in saying this, you are in trouble. Like, I'm going to pull them around. And that can happen, and cool if it does, but it's very hard because the principal plumb lines that we carry as a family, they're just not there. So if someone's not raised in that way, there's all sorts of thinking and things that come in. And not to say that it's impossible, but it does take a bit of work from my observation of different.
But we do sow those little seeds, Like we don't have big long discussions with them about marriage, but we sow those little seeds of just so that it can sort of grow in them when that time comes. They're going to have that in the back of their mind. They're going to be like, oh, I remember what mum said. I remember what dad said. And
I think I mentioned it on the other show. It's like if I say to let's say they start courting someone and they're building a friendship and whatever, and mum and dad, there's something about who they've picked we dislike, and I said to them, is it because I don't like that person, or is it because I see something that is a character flaw or something that needs to be looked at? And they're like, oh yeah, you wouldn't just be mean to not like them, there must be something else. And if your kids can come to an understanding of that, then not that you select their partners, but you are, I believe, a part of that process. And I suppose that's wisdom as parents to guide your kids in that journey. So look, the more we talk about it, the more I'm actually not looking forward to it. So we might just move off that one, eh?
Well, we can kind of sort of wrap it up for now. We can carry on with some of these things maybe. But I do have, unless you wanted.
We've got how do you keep the love alive, but that's okay. You just hug them, kiss them, have long walks on the beach, hold hands. What else?
Keep your love young. Don't stop being spontaneous. Don't stop doing the things that you love nights, doing.
Go to the movies when they open up.
Yes.
What else is there?
And I think one good point I'd like to bring is children. When children are brought onto the scene, don't make them the priority over your relationship with your husband or your wife. So it doesn't mean that like, no, the baby needs me, the toddler needs me, the 12-year-old needs me, you know, and the husband starts to get pushed away or whatever. And I think that can happen too easily because understandably, like they're our babies, we love them, but that's one thing we've always done. Like, so us going away like we did for Sam's birthday, just for a couple of nights, like we've done that since they were babies. Yeah, we've left our 1-year-old with their grandparents.
Yeah,
like,
crying their eyes out.
not even, they haven't cried their eyes out. They've always been happy, but we've had no qualms with that because this is most important so that we can be better parents.
What did you have on your one?
Oh no, it was just a random question, but carry on.
Well, this one jumps into finance now.
Okay. One. Are we carrying on?
Yeah, we just only this one here.
Sure. Yeah, do that one and then I'll ask
What
my
is your
question.
best advice when entering into a business venture?
Due diligence.
Yeah, check it out. Who's introducing it to you? What's the fruit? If it's promising you to get rich quick, run as fast as you can away from it. If there's very minimal sort of, I suppose, information around, look, there's alarm bells that we have in us. If you launch from desperation because you want to be rich, sometimes you can't hear those alarm bells. True. So you don't have to rush into decisions. You can, sit back, and if there's someone reputable who's in it and doing well, have a good chat with them, discuss it. And obviously, some things that come your way, they're not always going to be good, but there are other things that will come your way that could actually be something that blesses you as well. So that'd be the best advice I can give. It's very quick and sharp, but the get rich quick thing is probably a thing to steer away from. Definitely.
I think too, like when entering into, say, a business venture too, when I think of like partnerships, be really mindful of who you're going to go into partnership with. So it's all good and fine and fun, and it's going to be amazing. We're going to work so well together when you're at the table, planning the vision of it and how it's going to be, and you're not going to be in the highs and the lows yet. So you have to sort of really be certain that the people that you're partnering with or you're going to be working with are that you're aligned, that you agree and you have the same sort of going in the same direction, because as probably all of you listening will be like, yep, I've seen a lot of businesses fall apart because of the partnership or whatever. I think it's just like Sam said, I think that's probably the key thing, is making sure you're launching off the right platform and you're going into something not out of desperation, not out of the hope for this could be the thing that's gonna bring us in so much wealth or whatever, but actually, and I think, to be honest, it's going into something that you know is gonna take your effort. It's gonna, because to me, I think things that I'm gonna have to put an effort into, I'm gonna have to do some mahi. Like, I think that's gonna be something,
get the treats, probably
probably a bit more sustainable as well. And that's probably one thing for me, is looking for something that's got a sustainability to it. Not like quick, fast, like boom, boom, overnight you can have $500,000. Well, what about in 5 years from now? Right. So sustainability.
That's right.
But yes, we are not business consultants. So our recommendation would to talk to a business consultant.
There's a good disclaimer there.
Disclaimer.
No
promises. Was that it from you?
I think we're going to start to a few
wrap
more.
It up.
More?
Well, coming off the back of that, somebody asked, if we were not pastors, what would your dream job be?
I'd be playing in the NBA, to be honest. Like, we're talking dreams. But if it was like, okay, come down to
just a dream, not a dream.
Yeah. It wouldn't be a job. I wouldn't work a job. I would work something like a business or something that involves creativity or being innovative, and obviously it would have to involve helping people advance in some way, because that's what we love to do. It would be more entrepreneurial based, so I can't really say a job. Like, when I was a kid, I would have said drive a truck, because that's what I said, or jump in a digger, but I got to do that a few months ago. That was cool. But I don't it'll probably be more to do with the business, starting, you know, that
Yeah.
sort of thing, and
Cool.
just creating mad paper in that way, probably.
I think I thought I wanted to be a midwife growing up,
Gee.
and then I realised I don't want to do nursing. I just want to hold the babies.
So that's why you wanted to do it in the first place.
And then I thought, well, maybe I'll be a plunket nurse and I can go and cuddle all the babies. And then I had to do nursing.
You have to prick their foot though.
Yeah, I'd have to do all the mean stuff. And then I would have to go to nursing school again, and I don't want to. I said to my auntie who was a nurse, I don't want to wipe adults' bums. And we had a laugh about that. So that was what I thought I wanted to do, but I just get to cuddle babies, so that's okay. I'm happy with that. But I think when I think of, like, say, something that I think I would enjoy, that obviously I love my life and I love what I do, but I like marketing. I don't know how to explain that. Like I've always watched, like when I used to watch shows and they'd come up with like a new product and be like, how can we market this and what could this, like, I like the idea. I like the idea of, like, for some reason it's how I'm built. I like when I see and observe, and maybe it's just a fantasy in my head, but I like that kind of like corporate pressure. Sounds like sick in the head. But you know, I like the idea of having to sit in boardrooms with some big shot and tell them why they need to listen to my pitch and why this is it. And you know, like, I kind of like that. Like, it's sort of like, I like
we are gonna set you. We're gonna unleash you in the next 6 months, girl.
Oh yeah, I don't know. So, but yeah, at the same time, I will never work for anybody. I don't want a job. But yeah, I don't know. For some reason, that I'm drawn to that. I'm not really afraid to go into some new places and
be a wrecking ball and
go hard.
All right,
That's us.
Yeah, we are done for now. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. Look, we do this every Thursday. I want to thank Matt and Shania who set up for us. They're a beautiful couple. Really appreciate them. Keep in touch if you have more questions or there's certain things that you were kind of sparked interest with you and you'd like us to, I suppose, reply with a bit more info. We're happy to do that. So PM the page, Destiny Church Gold Coast page, or PM us if you know us, and we are available to bring discussion around that as well. But God bless you.
Yeah.
That's me.
That's us. Bless you guys. See you later.